What if I told you the freedom you're so proud of, the voting, the rights, the representation, is just smoke and mirrors? That democracy, the rule by the people, is actually the slow evolution of tyranny with better PR? It may sound extreme, even offensive, but this idea didn't come from a modern conspiracy theorist. It came from Plato, one of the greatest minds in all of philosophy. He warned that democracy would become the breeding ground for its opposite, that freedom taken to its extreme would open the door to chaos, and chaos would beg for control. And when that control comes, it won't wear a crown, it'll wear a smile. In this video, we'll explore why Plato believed democracy would eventually rot from within, and how our modern system might already be proving him right. Stick around, because by the end, you'll never look at democracy the same way again. 1. Plato's map of government, the road to tyranny. Plato's Republic outlines a cycle of political systems, each decaying into the next. He begins with aristocracy, rule by the wise and virtuous. From there, things decline. Aristocracy becomes timocracy, rule by honor and ambition. Then comes oligarchy, rule by the rich. After the rich are seen as corrupt, people rebel, and we enter democracy, rule by the masses. Finally, when the chaos and individualism of democracy spiral out of control, the people cry for order. Enter tyranny, rule by one, usually through manipulation and fear. Plato didn't see these regimes as random. He saw them as part of a natural decline in the soul of the people. Each system is a reflection of our collective inner world. As values decay, from reason to pride to greed to pleasure, our governments mirror that decay. What's most chilling is this: Plato didn't present democracy as the high point of human freedom. He presented it as the most dangerous turning point. A society where every man believes he is his own master becomes the easiest target for a tyrant who promises to fix the mess. 2. Democracy is a beautiful lie. To the average citizen, democracy feels empowering. You get to choose. You vote. You have a voice. But Plato saw this as an illusion, a lie we tell ourselves to feel in control even when we're not. Because in reality, most people don't choose leaders based on wisdom or virtue. They choose based on image, charisma, and entertainment value. Plato said that in democracy, desire rules over reason. Politicians learn to flatter the masses instead of guiding them. They promise everything, deliver little, and make you feel heard while controlling the narrative. So what we get isn't rule by the people. It's rule through the people, by manipulating their desires and fears. It's not that democracy doesn't work, it's that it's too easy to game once the public stops thinking critically. 3. The soul of the citizen determines the fate of the state. Plato believed that politics starts inside the soul. A just society can only exist if the people within it are just. But democracy, in its purest form, empowers every voice equally, regardless of wisdom or self-discipline. In his view, that was a fatal flaw. He compared the democratic soul to a chaotic marketplace, full of conflicting desires, passions, and ideas. The citizen becomes addicted to pleasure, allergic to discipline, and convinced that every opinion is equally valid. In this environment, true philosophy, the search for truth, becomes a joke. And here's where it gets dangerous. When the crowd loses interest in wisdom, they demonize those who still pursue it. Socrates, Plato's teacher, was executed by a democratic Athens, accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. The crowd didn't want truth. They wanted comfort, and that comfort eventually makes us beg for a ruler. someone who can end the noise. 4. The rise of the polite tyrant. The tyrant doesn't arrive with blood and fire. Not at first. He arrives with charm, with answers, with a message that the system is broken and I alone can fix it. He tells people what they want to hear, not what they need to know. Plato warned us that in a democracy, once freedom becomes unrestrained, once every voice becomes equally loud, society loses its anchor. It becomes vulnerable to someone who speaks in absolutes, who simplifies complexity, and who offers emotional relief rather than thoughtful solutions. But here's the twist. In modern times, the tyrant doesn't need to declare himself openly. He can hide behind institutions, laws, parties, and algorithms. He doesn't look like a dictator. He looks like a leader with a smile. And that's why modern democracy is what Plato feared most. A tyranny with manners. 5. The cycle of political decay. How democracies collapse from within. Plato didn't believe political systems were static. In his philosophy, every regime carries the seeds of its own destruction. Democracies don't die suddenly. They rot slowly, from the inside out, and the process almost always follows a predictable cycle, one we've seen unfold countless times throughout history. It begins with success. A democratic society becomes wealthy, innovative, and powerful. Citizens gain rights, freedom of expression, and upward mobility. But over time, abundance breeds complacency. People begin to take their liberties for granted. Hard questions are ignored, uncomfortable truths go unspoken, and political leadership is reduced to spectacle. In Plato's terms, the rational part of the soul, the part that seeks truth and justice, gets drowned out by the appetites. Then comes entitlement. People no longer see freedom as a responsibility, but as a birthright that requires no effort or thought. The public becomes impatient with complexity and distrustful of nuance. Political discourse devolves into shouting matches, and leadership becomes a game of who can promise more and say less. In this chaos, democratic institutions, courts, laws, journalism, begin to lose public trust. And at this breaking point, the strong man appears. He promises to restore order, bring back pride, punish the corrupt elites, and silence the noise. But what he really brings is control. He may be elected democratically at first, but once in power, he works to dismantle the very democracy that empowered him. It happened in Rome with Julius Caesar. It happened in 20th century Europe, and today we're watching echoes of it ripple through our own modern systems, where laws change quietly, freedoms shrink incrementally, and nobody notices until it's too late. 6. So what do we do now? Escaping the cycle. Now here's the uncomfortable question. If Plato was right, and democracy decays into tyranny by nature, then what can we actually do about it? Are we just doomed to repeat the cycle forever? Or is there a way to stop it? Plato didn't hate democracy because he wanted fewer rights for people. He feared what happens when freedom lacks wisdom. And that's the answer he offers. Democracy only survives when the people in it are guided not by impulse, but by virtue, education, and self-discipline. In his ideal state, the leaders were philosopher kings, not politicians chasing polls, but thinkers dedicated to justice, reason, and the common good. Now, we may never get philosopher kings in the real world, but we can become philosophers in our own lives. We can read more than we scroll, think more than we react. We can stop outsourcing our beliefs to influencers, algorithms, and political slogans, and start asking, is this actually true? Because in Plato's view, A democracy of thinkers is stronger than a democracy of followers. And perhaps most importantly, we must reclaim responsibility. The moment we treat freedom like a permanent guarantee, rather than something we must earn, protect, and understand, is the moment we begin to lose it. Plato's warning isn't a death sentence for democracy. It's a challenge to every citizen. Will you live as a thinker or a consumer? Will you choose wisdom over comfort? The fate of democracy doesn't rest in the hands of a tyrant. It rests in the soul of each person watching this video, including you. If this video shook your assumptions, don't walk away unchanged. Plato gave us a warning, not just to scare us, but to prepare us. If we want to break this cycle, it starts with truth. Not what's trending, not what's easy, but what's real. So think for yourself. Ask better questions. And if you found value in this video, share it with someone else who needs to wake up. Because like Plato said, the price of apathy towards public affairs is to be ruled by evil men.